to restore Pokemon, TCG, and sports cards here on the Cardboard Alchemist podcast. And now here are your hosts, Giovanni and Sebastian.
Welcome to Cardboard Alchemist. I have my trusty sidekick, Sebastian. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? I'm excited for today.
I'm very excited because we have a very special guest, a man who needs no introduction, Kurt with Kurt's Card Care.
The myth and the legend.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Hey, thank you
So
guys,
happy.
man. Thanks
So
for
happy that you're
thinking.
here, man.
Yeah, so Sebastian and I were talking last week about, what would make a really good episode is like talking about different types of card stock. We get lots of questions about especially in Pokemon itself, which obviously we specialize in, there are various types of card stock that they use throughout the years, Japanese versus English, and even throughout the years in Pokemon, there's been various types of, let's call it like card stock differences, thicknesses, etc. And we want to talk a bit about that, but then Sebastian was like, oh, what about sports and stuff? And I was like, I know the guy.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to have you on, Kurt.
I'm
Yeah,
happy
we're
to
both
be
happy,
here,
man.
guys. Thanks for. I've worked on a few card stocks, man. So this is a topic that I can. I'm happy to be a part of, guys. I'll share. I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from you guys when it comes to even all the different generations of Pokemon stock. So pour into me too, man, and I'll tell you guys all the stuff that I can when it comes to the different papers and cardboards that we run into.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah.
And also in the Patreon, I want to share a little experiment I've been working on too.
Oh, you did it.
Yeah, well, kind of. But
I love how you sneaked it. How you sneaked it in, but with a cigar.
Oh, yeah, I had a cigar in there, yeah. But I want to start with the sports topic, and then Sebastian and I can geek out about the Pokemon stuff. So when I was at a card show, I picked this bad boy up.
Ooh, I like that. That's a that is not a Pokemon character. I know how to say that. I think I could say that name without having to consult a Poke expert.
Yeah,
I've never seen those. Like this is like the first.
Really?
I don't specialize in sports, so I'm learning as of today with the man, the myth, the legend, who knows a lot about sports. So
Kurt, tell him about where these came from.
So Sebastian, that cool little card came in a pack of cigarettes. And
no way.
Sweet Caparel was a cigarette. And I think that it was just kind of like the prize in the bottom of the cereal box, like baseball was super hot. Like people were like, it was definitely one of those things because you go back to 1913 or 1910 was that card
I looked it up before, and it was
Holy
1908 to 1912 or 13, and they don't put the year on here, which I thought was odd, but I think it's because of that range. They don't quite know when it came out, so they just put that T206. Like everyone calls them that, right?
So that's the 206 cards, you guys. And think about the United States in the 1910. It wasn't very connected, right? And but baseball, I think, was one of those key movements, one of those key sports that got people kind of talking. And just like we're sitting here talking about cards right now, can you imagine? I think probably everybody smoked back then. It was probably a very just normal thing to do. And so people always would save their cards from their smokes. And it was a cool way to talk about baseball and kind of promote that unity, and not amongst just sports fans, but people definitely, collectors weren't something new. People probably collected right back then. That's why there's some of these that are in such wonderful shape. But that would be, you guys, one of the first for sports cards. That set right there, T206, would be one of the granddaddies. That would be one of that's kind of started it all when it came to sports cards, was using them to market cigarettes. And then it worked.
Hey, for that being that old, it looks pristine. I know it says very
it's
good
a three too,
but it looks super good. Back from the 1908 or 1913, that's just crazy and insane.
100 years.
That person kept it super good, well hid, no light, no nothing.
And Sebastian, as cliche as it sounds, they built stuff great back in the day.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Like, do you know, you guys, that feel like there's more conditions of working on a Pokemon card than there is of working on that card? You know, like, even though you'd think that it's old, it is. And you'd think that, you know, is it going to turn to dust if I touch it or anything?
Yeah, I was thinking that right now. Like, what if like you just touch it, or even like do like the littlest of cleanings, and it just poofs? I'm like,
yeah, they're excellent, because you know how you guys have become so advanced and so good at using like moisture and variations of moisture, like whether it's card spray or humidity or whatever the heck you smart guys are always working on. You know, when it comes to those cards, you can fully submerge those cards to get stains out. You'd think it's throws people off. I remember when I'd first show people like how to soak a card, they'd almost like gasp, like, oh, what are you doing?
I was one of those. I was one of those. I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right. And I'm like, well, I don't know another way to get stains out of this thing. You know, like, it's not something you can use an eraser or something and you'll tear it up. So like, just like today's cards, you got to avoid friction, you know, to a degree, unless you're going to be working on a certain card that's hard or rigid. But those cards are awesome. And they are, so that to talk about that stock to any of our viewers and to you guys, it would be a great card to work on. And if you've never picked one up, even though they're old, you guys, they made a ton of them. People love to smoke. You know, there's a lot of T206s out there. So just like we always probably say to even our fellow Pokemon friend collectors, hey, if you're going to try to learn how to do a scratch removal or this or that, just practice. There's a million cards out there. You can get those guys for probably as low as $10 a piece for commons. So if you find a big one that you're excited about, you can do all the good card care stuff to it. Just give yourself some grace and practice on a few first.
And what are the holy grails of that era? Like,
Jonas Wagner. Jonas Wagner. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, but the Honus Wagner, or some people call it Hogness. I think it's Jonas.
Yeah, it's like Honus, and then later
Jonas,
on God, because I think Honus was like a Belgian or a German immigrant, you know, and of course Americans couldn't say those names, so we had to switch them around.
I'll have to look it up between now and the Patreon app, but there was a famous collector of cards that basically put all, like, long time ago, he got all these old cards, put them into binders, and then eventually donated them to a museum. And this was like the first written record of these like complete sets. That's because back then I don't think there was like card lists, and there wasn't like price, these sites to look stuff up.
Price charting.
This guy literally was just so obsessed with cards, and I gotta look up his name. I forgot, but he basically donated all these binders that he basically pasted all of the cards, his whole collection, into this. And one of the cards he says that was the rarest card was the Hogness Wagner. Part of the rumor, and I don't know if that's true, I'd love to hear from Kurt, but that his parents died from smoking cigarettes or something like that, and he didn't want his card associated with cigarettes and had him yanked.
You are I am so impressed with that. Absolutely, that is like, I don't know. I'm not the historian, but I know that's absolutely like right, going in the right direction. Wagner was opposed to smoking, and he did not want his name or likeness used to promote tobacco. And he put his foot down right away when they were using his image, his team shot, and said, "No, I'm not part of your cigarette packs." But they're the type of marketers in the sales team. They said, we'd rather apologize and ask for permission. So they went and put every ball player's face on these cards. Most ball players probably smoked. They probably didn't care, but Wagner, no. He said, no. So that was one of the big reasons, you guys, if you ever see anybody watching this, you see that old Honus Wagner card, and you'll see it's sold, now for 10 million, then 20 million. You're like, what is it? It's two things. Like, he was an amazing baseball player. Sometimes the card outweighs Wagner's stats and stuff like that, because it was a long time ago, you know what I mean? But he was an amazing athlete, amazing ball player, coached, managed, did all that stuff, devoted his whole life to baseball. But a lot of Wagner cards are very expensive because they're pre-war stuff, a lot of post-war stuff, like the Mickey Mantles, Jackie Robinson, all those guys, they're kind of like the golden era, I'd say, of Americana baseball. But the old school guys, the originals, the Ty Cobbs, Honus Wagners, Mathewsons, all these guys back in the day, Joe Jackson, you guys, history is amazing if you read some of these stories, because even these guys were baseball players by day, but they didn't get paid the way baseball players get paid by now. So these guys, some of these guys were outlaws. Some of these guys were tough guys. Some of these, it's like Americana 100+ years ago. Cool stuff. You know what I mean? So that's why you guys, if you ever see like sometimes vintage collectors like geeking out over these guys, it's the same way that people would have connections to like special characters in your games. Like when you guys grew up gaming cards, you know, like you have so many times where sorry, like Charizard kicked somebody's ass. And you're like, I love the one for
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? But like guys read these stories or have grandparents that passed on some stories. It was cool. And I think that was like a really cool time in America. And that's where a lot of those cards came out of. And that's why they've been held on to like and collected and shown off, you know, and talked about to this second, you know.
Yeah. But and I think there's something to be said, like you said, about the cardstock type, because they probably were cutting trees down right behind the factory, you know, and making paper. Like,
oh man, they're like, I mean, cut down every 3 to 4 trees you could see.
Industrial revolution at its core, you know what I mean? So yeah, those guys. So if like, here's what I'll tell you guys. So now the takeaway from this era, sports cards, friends, these cards are paper, but they have a premium finish. If you notice on the front of that, you'll see that it has a light polyurethane. And do you guys know you can either put, you know, you guys how you put card polish on your Pokemon cards to condition them up and shine them up and clean them up? You can put card polish on the front of that card too. And it will likely pull off if there's any old age spots, dirty, you know, things will accumulate on the front of that card. But then on the back of it, you guys, you don't want to put any sort of like card polish or recovery or anything on the back of that type of card, because it's an open paper card. But you can soak them if they're stained or dirty, and they come out awesome.
How'd you figure out soaking? Is that just an experiment you ran, or you kind of heard through the grapevine?
Well, it's a good question, because, you know, like I just visualized it. I was trying to think. It was it was because of cards from that era. I was fortunate to get hand-me-downs, a lot of hand-me-down stuff. They weren't really valuable cards, but I would like get stuff that was older than me from my neighbors. My grandma was an awesome collector of all cool things. So she would find cards and stuff and give them to me. And a lot of them were in bad shape. It kind of like seriously led me down the path to all this. But I think my mom was actually instrumental in card soaking, because my mom's a really good artist and she's good with materials. And when I was talking about getting wrinkles out years ago, my mom's also like helpful for humidor. Like when we talk about in environments for paper to kind of bounce back or refill or come back to life. My mom, Patty's like one of the ladies that was like really always interested in my stuff. Like my mom will call me before Wednesday night live shows and ask me what I'm working on and what are the likelihoods of the progress on this, and have I tried these methods before? And you know, like so she's always been into it. So long story short, my mom would be like, well, when working on paper or stains or something like that, it's got to be stress free. You can't stress stuff out. And it's like, and you guys have heard me say it, you can't, getting something wet is easy. Drying it is where the magic happens, you know? And that's what you had to learn about these. Cause I would say like, when it came to these older cards, a lot of stains on them could be tobacco stains from the pack. Yours could even have a little little yellow circles potentially on it from the tobacco leaf or the tobacco, you know, the cigarettes themselves. And the concept was you can't wipe on these things or scrub. It's going to create friction immediately. And there's no like dry cleaning really available for a sports card, you know. It's hard to dry clean something, you know. It's just hard. It's almost like if you ever have a dirty car and you tell your kids not to go out and like write their names on it, because you're just going to start scratching it, you know. So that was really, you know, kind of brainstorming years ago how to get stains out. Would be like, we have to be able to soak them in something that will be conducive to pulling out stains, won't irritate it, and then won't mold out the card or hurt the card when it dries. So that's really the concept. So it just, before you guys ever knew me, man, I just, I don't know, you know, some people can sit and read for hours or, you know, whatever. Like I could sit in my room here and just do card experiments for hours. I'm surrounded literally by tools and by stuff. And I don't know, man. I had buddies that could build Legos for hours and stuff like that. I could sit in here and just goof around and come up with card and paper and plastic, you know, fixes. So kind of a pursued interest.
Yeah, that's kind of like why I love card restoration, is because I feel like it's still an art form in the making. Like there's a lot of things like being, and maybe it's not 100% true, but let's say a car mechanic, there are books you can buy on how to fix this certain type of thing. There are
Definitely
classes you can go take, but to become a card restoration,
there's nothing on it.
Enthusiast, you're kind of just have to do it. You have to get your hands dirty and
A little bit at a time, though. Remember, always practice. How Kurt always says, always practice.
And speaking of,
it's worth it. It's where you learn how to do it.
Yeah.
It's not if anybody's watching this and like, hey, I just want to fix something real quick so I can get a higher score. That's okay too. I'm fine with that. But like, you're probably not. It's hard to learn something real quick. Cleaning a card is you can easily clean a surface real quick. But if people do want to learn how to do a little bit of body work, a little bit of edge work, corner work, kind of these principles, give yourself some grace. Because now we're in a place where card care didn't even exist a while ago, and now I am so pleased to see so many talented people doing it. But then that also raises this invisible bar for people to start competing with themselves. So just remember, guys, don't go out and don't mess something up. There's a million cards. I'm sure that if you buy some, Josh has our Jim. Sorry, you never.
Yeah, everyone knows my name, but
okay. I'm like, do I? I'm sorry. So you can cut this part, but
You're good.
I always call you Josh. So like,
Josh is fine. Yeah,
Joe call you Giovanni. I'm sorry. Right?
I'll call him his real name.
But Joshua.
Well, because so
I'm giving all of these away for free at the next card show. These are all experiment cards that I've racked over.
Okay,
look at those U-shaped ones.
Oh yeah, these ones went through the ringer. Yeah, but
So what I was trying to say is, and let me sorry guys, I got a little bit off track there because I was like forgot. But my point is, the bar has been raised in card care, and it's cool. But for anybody out there, if you guys notice, I'm always talking to I always try to aim my message towards the person that's ever done it before. Because I'd say 95% of my customers or people that know me now probably never touched a card until we kind of showed them how to do it. So just, as a reminder, when you're working through these different eras, don't put any pressure on yourself. Have fun. When people tell me I'm nervous to work on this card from this era, I'm like, well, there's a reason. How many of you worked on from that era? None. I'm like, well, why would you work on the one that you just paid $1,000 for?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're smart enough to buy these cards for $1,000 and find all the good deals, pick up a base card and give yourself a little grace. Have some fun.
That's funny. I sent a card over to Sebastian as a thank you.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh my God, should I show him?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, let me get it real quick.
Yeah. I was at a card show, Kurt. I'm sure this happens to you for sure, but somebody ran up and they're like, Giovanni, can I have your signature? And so every time
I never got one of those. You're a stud, man.
I just cover the shirt.
Dude, don't lie. At least you get a selfie.
Oh, but that's fun.
I always write just have fun on every
Just
signature I do.
I love that, dude.
Because
I was gonna ask, what is this? Is that supposed to be like a
that's
Voltorb?
Giovanni's eyes. He's a man Pokeball. Yeah.
Oh, I can see the. I thought it was devil horns, but
That's what I thought too.
That's the Giovanni eyes. Yeah.
You know that I love going to card shows. I run into all these people that usually it'll be people that I talk to on one of the social channels. They'll be like, hey, remember this Charizard you helped me fix? And they'll show me the phone. I'm like, yes, I remember that. Well, it's almost like it's a great way though about going to an event where you can see your fellow collectors or people that watch your channel or whatever. They'll come up and usually share their cool techniques, or people come and say, hey, I learned something new. Let me tell you this. And I'm like, tell me. They're like, you always tell me something. I'm gonna tell you something. So
yeah,
it's cool, man. They have that kind of that relationship.
I love that. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, do you usually just go to local shows, or do you try to go to different different states and everything?
Yeah. So Sebastian, I'm in Metro Detroit, so I'll go to shows in Metro Detroit. Do you know that I never set up and promote my company or sell anything at card shows? I feel like it's hard for me to do what I do. I feel like my here and where I can film it and show you guys and be intentional is my best place. So I don't ever go to really promote the company. But a lot of people at these shows, a lot of the vendors especially, are customers of mine, and it gives me the an opportunity to go sincerely like thank people and connect with people. So I love that aspect of it. That's the only reason I really go to card shows, is to like shop and like see people and catch up. And now I would like to do, if it was feasible just to bounce around and go to a bunch more, sure, I would. But I tell you what, like it's a unique time for my company where, you know, all the wonderful people in this great hobby keep us very busy. And it's literally, I read this today, and I hope others can relate. It's a blessing to be tired and busy from a path that you chose.
Oh yeah, that's a hustler mentality.
You know, it's like, it's a blessing because, man, sometimes I'll wake up and I'm like, man, I'm tired. I'm a little bit fried. I gotta go. I gotta do production. Our staff will be here soon. Got to turn out a good attitude. Let's go. And then I got hundreds of messages to answer today. But it's like,
oh yeah,
it's a good thing, you know. So it's like, it's hard for me to get out and go to card shows, frankly, because we got a ton of stuff going on here, and it's a busy season that I'm in, and I enjoy it. But mainly local.
Yeah, I used to vend a lot, and then I quit last year because I just been getting and I can relate. I've got like a ton of, I mean, it's bell to bell for me, but I love it, right? Like,
of course.
I got sprayed.
So fast forwarding a little bit from the T206, you were talking about the Mickey Mantle. Funny story about that card. The reason it's so expensive is because the company that printed that card, apparently the sales were so bad for those cards, they dumped the cards in the Atlantic Ocean because just wanted them out of the warehouse.
That's true too. Yep.
Dude, that's insane how people can get these stories.
Even Pokemon collectors, if they saw the Mickey Mantle card, they'd be like, of course, that's like the baseball card, you know? That one and the baseball card were both turned into short prints because of Hodis saying no, and because Topps ditching a bunch of stuff, and then Mickey Mantle turned it into Mickey Mantle, and there was only a few of them, and that's why they're so expensive.
Yeah, it's funny. It reminds me of that E.T. game that they made for the Atari that they ended up burying in New Mexico. Like, the sales were so bad on this Atari game, they just took all of the cartridges and
wasn't the graphics so bad too? Like the graphics were bad.
Those
everything
are worth
was bad.
Nothing. If they dug them up, they'd be worth nothing. But if somebody can find that container at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, maybe they've been soaking for a while and they're still salvageable.
Yeah, they're very clean right now. It's all about the drying. You're gonna have to dry them.
All you gotta do is wait. With the Ataris, they were like literally like the Nintendo 64, right? It's like the little cartridges, or was it completely different?
It was like those Atari cartridges are kind of like Nintendo cartridges.
So all you gotta do is just blow on it and just make sure it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So,
like I don't even know how people thought Atari was fun back in the day. It always sucked, in my opinion. It was terrible. It's terrible.
So it's funny. I collected Pokemon cards as a kid, and in Hawaii, where I grew up, my dad used to take me to the sports card shop. This was early 90s, right? We're talking about like kind of this era of cards and stuff like that, right? In fact, Kurt, man, I don't know what it is, but some of those cards back then in the 90s are so cool. Like there's these holographic ones and Cyclone, and like, man, they did so much with cards back then that I wish they brought back today. Like,
it was you guys, like the psychedelic era of cards, like of Renaissance. Like you say that. So all right, show and tell here. Well, I don't have to go very far to get 90s stuff, but like, so you're right. So like you guys, here's stuff from the 90s. So we had holograms. They don't video very well.
Oh, yeah,
these were amazing.
That's then, the MJ hologram.
Then we had like Michael Jordan in front of like water and electricity. And then Michael Jordan hang out in a big hoop. And then let's see. And then like Charles Barkley hanging out in like the desert with mountains. And it was like, it was cool. There was effort put in these things. They had Fleer made metal cards.
Yeah, these people were so like, what's that word? They were
it was artistic, man. Like the composition and the design.
Those hollow ones. They did those a bunch. Those are so cool.
I tell you what, like this 90s cards are their own thing. I feel like they're kind of try to get bastardized and like recreated again. Still, like Panini would steal some components of them. Topps, I don't really know what's up with Topps. I'm sure that we'll see more stuff from them soon. But like, man, it was cool. I felt like, like a competition usually produces champions, obviously. There was like multiple license holders, you guys. So like Skybox, Fleer, Topps, Upper Deck. So they would compete to make better Michael Jordan cards or better Shaq cards or better Kobe cards. Now it's almost like some of the photographs on this stuff, like talk about a basketball card. I mean, like that is
wow.
so cool. Wicked.
You know what that reminds me of?
Yeah.
Have you ever read those books? The ones, the Anamorphosis or something like that? It's like where it like switches from a kid to like an animal. That's what it kind of reminded me of.
They had stuff that was like all
die cut, even die cut stuff, Kurt. Yeah.
So like mainly they kind of turned into plastics and foils and got very synthetic, So like to catch our viewers up, I'll say from like the even 1800s, there's like a set of cards people started collecting like in the late 1800s called Allen and Ginter. Paper cards, they're cleanable. Let's go from 1887 to 1933. That's going to be pre-war cards. They're wonderful because they're all sturdy. They're thick. They are cards that you can clean. You can do, if you ever even watch any of my work and see card soaks or dent removals or wrinkle removals, they're beautiful. You can work on all of them. All right. Then the rules start to change a little bit post-war. So like, no, as far as I know, there was no cool gaming cards until like the 90s-ish, right? Mm-hmm. But Marvel and DC started putting out comic book cards in the 60s. So we started seeing some cool stuff, such as, this is almost dry because I worked on this one last night, but like some of the cool stuff outside of sports started appearing in the 60s. So that's Batman's rookie card, they call that. So that's out of the 1966 A, B, and C. This is a bazooka card from England. So this is the British version. So this is the British Batman card. And, going back, but pre-war, there were Superman cards and stuff like that. So they started incorporating like some of the giants from the comic book world into cards starting about the 40s and then into the 50s and 60s. Still paper cards, whether it's pre-war or post. But then the material started changing, you guys, like in the 90s. Because I'll say, like, I'll throw this out there to card care people. You can pretty much use the same exact techniques from 1887 to 1989. So that sums it up, you guys. 87 to 99. And those fall right into that range.
Is this 86? Yeah.
That's 86.
And so you're talking about, by the way, I blame you, Kurt, because I'm like, you know what? I want to start doing sports. And
so you got to go get some good ones right away.
I need to start doing sports too.
I know the trick is, because this has like a dinged corner. I can see the corners pushed in, right? So hoping for the 7, right? So at a different booth, I saw Little Cheapo, same year, right? So the concept is recreate the damage. Let me ask you a question though, and I'm curious because I've noticed on Pokemon, if I create an indent on a Pokemon card, and then I throw it in the humidor, the indent pops out quite easily by itself. If I find a card and the indent's been there for 20 years, not the case.
Exactly.
Like, fresh damage seems to come out quicker.
Because it didn't create a memory very long. The longer the memory, the longer you're going to have to like nurture that baby out of there. And you never know. You never know, right? Unless you accidentally, like my sports cards buddies, I was doing a demo last night where it's like people that own something that people love about sports cards. They make these cool cards with patches on them. They're thick, man. But if you go like this and go, whoops, oh my God, I dropped it. You can ding these corners so fast, so easy. So, my point of bringing that up is it's good to have a few base cards and to practice on these different types of thicker card stocks. And by you picking up that extra 86 Fleer, it's a big help,
Yeah, it gives, because again, I haven't worked on this, but it just looks like paper. And I asked you too, I'm like, hey, does your polish work on the front and back? And you're like, don't do the back. And I was like, okay, but that's why I asked you. I'm sure your website has a plethora of information about your products too.
You're right. And when we were talking about like, just like the indents too, if you did something on accident, work on it right away. If you accidentally drop one of your cards, the faster you can get on it is usually better. But like when, to your point, is you get a card that has a dent on there. It's probably been in there for years. It could take a little bit longer to get out. Still do the same methods and take your time. That's the biggest thing I think, is take your time. And then with your question about the front of those cards, you guys, with like a lot of cards from the 60s, 70s, 80s, Michael Jordan rookie cards included, they came in wax packs with gum in the pack too. So there would be like, or actually the Jordan didn't have gum in the pack, but a lot of cards had gum in the pack, and those were wax packs where they had, sometimes you'll look at the back card, those came with a sticker, and they're covered with wax all over the back. So the rules start to change a little bit here when the packaging started kind of interfering with the cards a little bit. So like on those types of cards, Fleer cards, all the things you can do, you can semi-soak them, you can soak them, you can card polish the front because it has that premium finish. When you look at that, it has the same type of front as that T206 card you had. So,
really?
Yep, it's a premium paper finish. And if you guys look at the back of those cards, if you were under light, it's dry and dull. Right. It's a stretch for a Pokemon collector because you guys the gaming cards have the nice finish on the front and back, always. Because they're made to be shuffled, right? And they're made to be played and passed around. Like they're made to be touched. Right. Those things were, it's such a different thing. So like a gaming card collector might be listening to us going, what's he mean? It's different on the front and back. They're always the same. No, sports cards are different.
You're right. I'm just now noticing that. You're like, the back, it has almost that same sheen to it. It's like a protective coating or something.
Exactly. And then you varnish. And then it's like, so for example, like I have a nice baseball card here. This is a 1956 Mickey Mantle. And that's a key card, key year. And you'll see like on the front, if I can get any shine in here, you'll see it has this nice premium finish, right? Then you flip over the back and there's no reflection at all. So people would say, how do I know if it has a premium finish? What do you mean by that? If you can get some light to reflect off it, you got a sheen. If it just sucks in the light, you got a matte finish. It's a cleanable surface, but you just got to identify the type of surface that you're looking for. And you know what, you guys, if you're getting into card care now, you're getting into it at a good time, because there's people like us that have a lot of like rules and demonstrations and like guidelines out there. I always sometimes think about, when I got into this stuff, I was like, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. But there's such a good library of people that create content out there now that can kind of give you these guidelines. So practice on your base cards, but also search these types of processes out, especially if you follow any of my stuff, you guys. I try to do something from every year. So even though the materials are the same, I know collectors like to see their year being worked on. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But I'd say very consistent from all the way up until about 1989. And that's when sports cards started to change.
Yeah. And then I think, I'm kind of curious. So I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit, because I wish I had more cards, because there's so many cool cards out there, like the Garbage Pail Kid cards, and I remember even Scratch and Sniff cards back from like Ren and Stimpy. Yeah. There was 90s are so cool. Like Tops and all these guys.
I remember those Nickelodeon ones that you showed me. I wish I would have had more cards in my table. All I just have is just Pokemon and Magic. I thought I had Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't.
Yeah, but like one thing is when you're looking at a card, try to understand what the actual composition of the card is, right? So for Pokemon cards, they kind of come in basically two variants. There's non-holo and then holo cards, right? So on these holo cards, you have basically this like plastic that sits on top of the cardstock itself. So this is a non-holo card. It still has that sheen on the front and back, and so it's all these cards front and back with Pokemon. Kurt's polish works wonders, right? But it sounds like when you're dealing with certain cards where it has a paper back, that's where you probably want to of what happens when you use the polish on the back. Is it just kind of leave oil spots? Because I've had people tell me like, oh my gosh, Kurt's polish left oil spots in the back of the Pokemon card. I said, let it sit, let it dry, and it goes away. So,
and you know what? The great thing, if you're a gaming card collector, there's not a ton of rules when it comes to cleaning cards. There's a few you want to avoid because they have like the extra layers of holographic little tinsel and stuff on them, and we can break all that down. But the good news is Pokemon and gaming card collectors, you guys can like clean on. Like almost everything is cleanable in your area. Sports cards are predicated on tons of little things, little differences. Don't worry, sports cards people, it's not that tricky. Again, if you like it, it's fun, and it's a fun thing to learn. But when it comes to the and dial me back. What was the what question were you asking about if you put card polish on the back of a paper card? So what it will do, guys, just get it all wet. It won't do anything. The card polish is good. It's a good conditioner and cleaner when you have already there like a polyurethane or like a nice finish.
Right.
It would just soak into the back. It just wouldn't do anything good. It would just make a big wet spot.
Gotcha. Okay. But I'm just curious, like, I guess it looks like it does soak into this as well, but it disappears. Like, I didn't know if the same thing would happen here. Like, would it disappear after a while too?
It would, but you know what? That's what it was. The question. The biggest thing that a Pokemon, someone that's say brand new to it will hit me up and say, hey, Kurt, did I mess it up? I got a damp spot. And I'm like, no, it just got a little bit damp. And they're like, is that cool? I'm like, yeah. Because you guys, when I make card polish, when I make this, I have to cook everything, blend everything. It's a liquid. So it's wet, and that's why. But the thing is, and I won't break it down too far, but like from a cleaning perspective, earlier in our conversation, we were saying, hey, I needed the liquid to be able to float cards and to clean stains out of them. But I also want a cleaner that's like in a stable format like this that I can clean with, because sometimes I can't use something just liquid. I'm going to have to use a card polish in a certain way. So that's what you guys are seeing. If you get a little damp spot on the card, don't even let it raise your radar up or make you worried. I notice older cards, Wizards of the Coast, right? I'm learning. Am I doing good right there?
Yeah.
Those ones I kind of attract to because I like the way they look. But they're older and they've been played. And I always buy ones that are like played. So it's like the polyurethane coat on the back, you guys, is probably wore down a little bit. So if you get a little damp spot on the Pokeball or whatever, that's cool. Just a little damp. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I've had it happen 1,000 times to me, and it always goes away.
I remember the first card I've ever tried, like that. I dapped in the corners, and I thought I just messed up. That was the end of the world there. But I just let it dry for a day. I just put it back. Didn't even touch it. I didn't want to see it. And when I got it back the next day, I'm like, oh, it's gone. So
don't let that trip you guys up. It's just you're cleaning it. It just got a little bit damp.
But yeah, I think the only thing there are two things I would say. I'd love to talk about some advanced things that I do with your products as well in the Patreon. But the one thing I think that you were kind of talking about was these starry finish ones.
Yes.
And you were saying like to avoid using the spray or polish on these. The polish. Right?
Spray is fine on those. Oh, okay. Spray's fine. But if you guys notice, like that's a good one to give an example.
Right.
Anytime you guys see and catch it where you see the stars are pretty, but can you catch it where the stars are muted and they're kind of like dull looking? Like anytime you catch that where you see those like extra embellishments or where it looks like it's stamped, can you guys like see, because like they look pretty, but when you catch it in the light, you'll see that those guys are stamped on the card. Very easy to remove. Even if you got your fingernail and scratch out all those little stars, you can get it to remove.
Yeah, probably. So I've noticed that.
Pokemon collectors, be careful with that. And also, guys, if you use heat press one of those cards just with the 2 foam mats and you pull it off, you're going to have a bunch of stars stuck to that thing. All right?
Yeah, right.
So just courtesy. I know I bounce around, but welcome to my bounce around brain. You make sure you use like a little bit of parchment paper or something like that. You know?
I want to share something with you, Kurt, because I think you might enjoy this.
Yeah. Show me, man.
But on Pokemon cards in particular, when I did this to Sebastian was like, whoa. But so here in the lab, we do all kinds of fun experiments, right?
I love it.
And we used a humidor with isopropyl alcohol in it. The vapors from the isopropyl alcohol loosened the adhesive.
It got to work.
Right. So this used to be a holographic Pokemon card, right?
Totally.
There's the holograph like layer, and then they just put this plastic sheet on top of it. One thing I was going to talk about, whether it's Hyper Potion or Kurt's Recovery, when we're getting rid of those scratches on the front here, this is the material that we're buffing. It's plastic.
That's all you got.
Right?
That's all you got, you guys, is that little bit.
Yeah. So, one thing I've noticed with my product, and I'm sure it's true with yours too, that if you have a card that has basically like no paint, let's say like this part right here where it's silver, be careful. Don't overdo it with these types of products, because you can start to create what's called mirroring. And that's where you just want to go light. Like overdoing it with anything, really, you're going to cause damage. So usually, sometimes I get people like, oh, can I get this scratch out? I always say, I don't know. Like, look, maybe, give it one shot. And if it looks like it kind of is going away, then great. But if you overdo it, then that's where you can kind of get into trouble. So
that's a good stock to talk about too, because you're right. The scratch removal, I'm sure you heard it from your customers too. Like, for my old standard, good old cleaning polish, right? You could put 50 coats on there, because it will always just clean it, but you don't need 50 coats. But you know what I mean? You're not going to ever hurt anything. This is the standard. It'll clean it up, make it look good. And for a lot of gaming cards, and even for a lot of collectors, they're like, that's as far as I need to go, dude. That's fine with me. Then you can stop. But I would say for probably, I don't know, maybe once people got real good at cleaning cards is when I got the next round of requests. So when people started saying, hey, I don't like going to the automotive aisle and buying scratch removers anymore. Like I'm cooking some of my cards, but I like the concept. And I'd be like, yeah, I agree. And then, so like we're talking about, then I put out, make my scratch remover, the Recovery, and it's the real deal. It's a microabrasive formula that can do buff that thin layer of plastic. Don't let me scare you. I'm just warning anybody using this type of stuff. When you say 5-6 cards, you learn how to buff and stay right on top of that plastic and not scrubbing it like you're cleaning the dirty dishes. Yeah. You ain't gonna eat your cards up. That plastic will take it and it will look great. But if you guys ever notice that you got a scar on a card and you're trying to talk yourself into like putting some Recovery or any of Josh's potion or anything else about it, don't trick yourself. If it's too deep, if it's cut into the card, it's like cutting off your nose to save your face. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. By the time you get to the bottom of that like if you look at if you try to imagine, look at the card in the Matrix, look at it sideways, analyze it like you're looking at it like Predator, like you're seeing the dip, you're seeing how you're looking at it. If it's a deep dive on the front, you're going to have to buff a hole in that card before you get to the bottom of that scratch, you guys. So if it's too much, back up, Yeah.
This scratch right here is a perfect example because you can see the paint's gone. Like if I were to get a magnifying glass, it'd probably be even better. But I could see white there. If you see white, that's
when you guys see that, just back off. Just back off. Just be like, all right, hey, that's tough. I'm going to have to deal with that. But but if I want to make it a project, I can card polish the card. And, it might have a handful, you guys, of other scratches on it. And you can use a scratch remover on it. But just don't focus on that injury right there and dig to the bottom of that. Or you don't want to go backwards. I've always been really okay with, if something doesn't improve, that's the breaks. Welcome to card care, people. Giovanni's showing you this pile of ruined cards. I'll open up my trash can or my desk and show you a pile of scare. Trust me, welcome to card care. But just be open. Just know that my goal, at least for you guys, is always to see a little improvement, hopefully a lot. But really, I don't want anybody going backwards. I don't want people messing stuff up because then they'll be like gun shy and think, oh, this sucks. I don't want to do it. So just, I would say too, don't you guys think since both of you have been doing this enough now, you've paid your dues, you know how to clean your cards. I'd say 80% of any card project is game plan, and 20% is using your hands. You know what I mean? And it's all about knowing what to do.
Yeah. Timing and kind of knowing the right things I always like incremental approaches to card restoration too. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, let's say you have a little ding on the card. Well, maybe just start with, well, by the way, I did this just because.
Oh my God.
Somebody
you did it after all?
Somebody in our Discord shared this, that they're doing this to like fix cards.
Oh
that's insane.
I laugh so hard. Yeah.
That is some ingenuity, man.
But using like your, the straw, and then just like if it's a little ding edge.
Yeah,
there's no
that
need
works
to go
for
do a
humidity
whole
and all that
soak
stuff.
Even the humidor, like why? If it's just
you don't
one
need
little
to.
thing.
Take care of it. Yeah.
Right.
But I think that's a good point that you bring up, because there's a lot of content. Fortunately, there's a lot of good advice out there. But I always try to think to myself, if I'm here and there's no cameras, or I'm just want to like work on some projects, I always want to think about like, what's the most, okay, so like what Abraham Lincoln say, if you gave me, 5 hours to cut down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 sharpening my axe.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want you guys to think, like, not just like get my hands, like start doing a bunch of stuff and then look at it and be surprised if I did something. No, nothing's a surprise. And it's normal for people that are brand new to card care to overlook that part, because I'll get messages every day. What should I do here? What should I do here? Is this fixable? What should I do here? What should I do here? And that's a normal question, but I'd like to say I'll reply and try to get people to think a little bit. I'm like, what did you try? What did you look at? What are your thoughts? What have you worked on something like this before? And then as soon as you start helping people kind of like walk them down that path of thinking about the project, then it usually makes the data I'll share, or like it just makes it easier, So just before you use your hand or say, I'm going to put some card polish, or I'm going to soak it, or I'm going to put it in a heat press, like, think about it for a second. Like,
you got to analyze what needs to be done.
Don't try to do 10 things and then be like, voila, take 30 seconds,
Yeah, totally. And I mean, even like over the years, cards have kind of varied in sizes too, right?
You're right.
These are really cool. These Pokemon Topps cards. This is like the only cards Topps actually printed of Pokemon, but they're thick. They're super thick, right? They kind of remind me of like Topps cards.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Even things like One Piece cards, the Lorcana stuff, they're a little thicker. Like, I think like yeah. And then even these 90s cards and stuff like that, they're really sturdy. They're sturdy beasts. I thought this said Shaquille O'Neal. My bad. I was like, oh, wait, what am I doing this to?
Like, no.
But here, I want to show you something.
That might have been Cliff Robinson. Was that Cliff?
We're gonna jump into Patreon here, but I want to fix this crease in front of you, Kurt, because this is a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
I would love to see that.
And these are so easy to work on.
They have a nice soft coat, man. They have that's a good one to bring up, because I think that if Pokemon cards were made by the same people who made the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, all the Pokemon collectors would have a much easier time fixing some dings and cycles on those damn things.
Yeah, I know. Creases are a pain. That's like soaking and stuff like that. So we're going to jump into the Patreon. See you there. All right. Love you guys.
Giovanni here. Thank you very much for watching this week's episode of Cardboard Alchemist. Shout out Kurt and all of our wonderful supporters in the Patreon. Without you in the Patreon, we wouldn't be keeping this high quality, amazing content coming to you every single week. As a Patreon member, you get a bonus episode that is not for public consumption. We talk about some really cutting edge dark arts, beautiful, beautiful conversations, stuff that'll make graders roll over in their grave, if you know what I mean. So, go to cardboardalchemist.com and check out the new tiers. We just announced a bunch of new tiers. First of all, our early supporters capped out at $188. After that, price goes up. So you have a very small window here to get in before prices go up. And we now have a Master Alchemist tier. This tier allows you to promote your social media handle on our credits here at the end of every episode. If you're interested in sharing your card restoration channel's handle, feel free to subscribe to that tier. We also have the Lord Alchemist here if you want Giovanni or Sebastian to fix one of your cards. Jump into the Lord Alchemist here. There's only 8 spots max, and we are done. And if you're feeling like a king, we have the King Alchemist here. For the max amount, there's only 1 spot for this. You can become a mega supporter, and we will do a 60-second ad read for your business. So maybe you do, I don't know, you ship cards overseas, you're a distributor, or maybe you make, custom mats. I don't know what the heck you guys do. People do all kinds of stuff. I don't know, maybe you work at a card dealership and you want to support Cardboard Alchemist. I don't really care. Go and sign up at cardboardalchemist.com before the prices go up, before you run out of the opportunity to get in while it's hot. Love you all, and stay tuned for the next episode of Cardboard Alchemist, baby. Giovanni out.